Let's go. We're up to our fourth installment of our greatest hits montages of unlocking moves. Over the first 20 episodes, we uncovered several themes that emerged. I invite you to check those out, episodes 21, 22, and 23. In those episodes, we covered taking risks. We covered mental health, which is so important in today's day and age. And we also covered talent, the importance of talent for entrepreneurial companies. Today, the fourth installment. Today, we're going to talk about overcoming adversity. And every entrepreneur out there has overcome some level of tragedy or adversity or failure. Anybody who says it's all rainbows and unicorns is lying their ass off. Nobody has a smooth journey. So I want to talk about those failures, those challenges. We all have challenges and adversity in our life. My hope is that the stories of others help to inspire you along your entrepreneurial journey. This first clip is my friend Scott Leese. I want to set it up a little bit by sharing a little bit of Scott's background. When he was in college, he was a two-sport athlete, tennis and soccer. And like most young athletes, especially male athletes, he thought he was bulletproof, immune to everything. And as he was wrapping up grad school at Arizona State, he found out that he had an autoimmune deficiency, which led to cancer, colon cancer growths, which led to the next 4 years of him in and out of hospitals, mostly in trying to diagnose and solve his challenges. He said he had 9 major surgeries. He had a colostomy bag. He was a mess. This was the defining moment in Scott's life, his career. What did he do? Did he wallow in misery? Let's check it out.
I mean, that was a formative thing in my life and in my career for sure. And stroke of bad luck, sure. Also, stroke of good luck, because it turned into something of a superpower for me. I think my sense of urgency got heightened compared to other people at a fairly early age. And I think my appreciation for and respect of each and every opportunity in front of us, also got sharpened a little bit early on. And so rather than lamenting over the things that I've been through, I kind of chose to create this narrative for myself where I got an advantage on other people, actually, so I could put that thing to use.
I love how Scott didn't wallow in this woe is me attitude. He turned his challenge into an advantage. How cool is that? And on the episode, I applauded Scott for being able to turn that around and told him he was an inspiration to thousands of people out there who've had their own financial challenges, health challenges, business challenges, relationship challenges, whatever it is. Scott, you're an inspiration to many.
And I know it's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people are private, and don't want to put themselves out there. But I actually think that we do a little bit of a disservice to not speak openly about some of these things. Because as you said, maybe me talking about it inspires somebody and they can relate to it. And then this tragedy can turn into something positive because it can make an impact on somebody else. And if now Kurt talks about things he's been through, that inspires somebody else. And we don't have to, hide or cower in shame about some of these traumatic things that we've been through. And it kind of normalizes the fact that all of our lives get fucked from time to time. And it's, kind of how we bounce back from it and what we do about it that matters, not the actual incident.
And that's why we created Unlocking Moves, so we could inspire you on your own journey. Scott, thanks again. You gave me the goosebumps all over again. Thank you for sharing your story. We've had a wide range of guests on Unlocking Moves. One of our most recent guests was Gareth Gallagher, entrepreneur and author of Eventually Gareth, The Show Must Go On. He shared stories of having to perform under the most dire circumstances, from terrorist bombings to earthquakes to cyclones to the pain in the ass, high demanding perfectionist clients that he had to please. He talked about turning the impossible into the possible on a nightly basis and how that led to a drug and alcohol problem as a coping mechanism. And eventually that led to utter humiliation.
And the biggest lessons we go through in life are painful, but the pain for me, there's purpose in the pain. And when there's pain, there's the biggest amount of growth with me. Some of the most painful experiences in my life have come through absolute humiliation. But I talk that my experience of humiliation, I say it was a humbling experience, masters humiliation. And the biggest lessons we go through in life are painful, but the pain for me, there's purpose in the pain. And when there's pain, there's the biggest amount of growth that we can go on through. And when we can get in front of the things that are so uncomfortable and do the things that are, I always think to myself, if I don't want to do it, that's when I need to do it, because it's the reality of it.
There's purpose in the pain. And if I don't want to do it, that's when I know I need to do it. How perfect is that? Does that resonate with you? How many things are you putting off? Brian Moran is a very successful entrepreneur. But how did he get his start? Like many entrepreneurs, he got his start by getting fired from his previous job. But Brian's special. He got fired twice by the same guy. It was several years apart, but he got fired by the same guy twice. But that's not even the biggest adversity that Brian faced. I uncovered this nugget when I asked him one of my final questions, which is, what is one thing that no one ever asks you, but you wish they would, or maybe secretly you wish they wouldn't?
I'd like to think that people can ask me almost anything. I think in the past, I never wanted people to ask me what was the worst thing that happened to you in business, because it was bankruptcy. In 2010, I had my own publishing company. And in 2000, and we printed money for years, and it was great. And then things started to turn in 2006. I almost sold my company in 2005, and we missed that window. But in 2006, the advice I got from somebody, the guy who was going to buy me, I completely changed the way I did my business. And I started investing heavily in my own magazines, in a conference division, in a website. And I took a lot of the money that I'd made and I poured it into those things. Well, of course, then the recession hit. And man, I went from top of the mountain to the bottom of the valley in less than 2 years. And I remember saying to myself, how did I get into this position? It was embarrassing. It was humiliating. It was discouraging. I mean, it was everything that you can imagine. And I wound up having to declare bankruptcy. And I remember I said, I am never going to mention this ever, because that was just like, man, it hurt. It hurt a ton. And as I came out of it and I started to talk to more and more people, especially incredibly successful people, multi-millionaires, and even a few billionaires, it seemed like the one thing they all had in common is that they went bankrupt at one point in their careers, in their lives. A good friend of mine went bankrupt twice in 14 years.
Brian went from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the valley. He was embarrassed, humiliated, discouraged. He didn't let that define him. In fact, he's built an amazing business with Small Business Advantage. And Brian, thank you for sharing. Some of the stories that you shared were embarrassing, discouraging, humiliating, but you've hopefully inspired thousands of people with your story today. LaQuita Cleare is another example of my wide range of guests. She's a former Hollywood actress turned speaker, turned entrepreneur, and now turned speaker coach. We talked about her life as an aspiring actress, going from audition to audition, getting turned down almost every time, and how natural it was for her to compare herself to others. What does she have that I don't have? But one unlocking move for her was when she finally stopped comparing herself to others and was able to be her authentic self. But this show is about overcoming adversity. So I'd like to focus on this clip where LaQuita was auditioning for a Robert De Niro movie.
I remember I got a big audition in Robert De Niro. It was the Robert De Niro movie. And I don't get starstruck at all, except Robert De Niro. You folks know what I'm talking about. De Niro is De Niro. So I'm so excited. I'm ready to go in this audition. I go in the room and I just choked, just thinking of De Niro and like, oh, this is his movie. And I remember just being frozen, the feeling of doing all that preparation and standing there and not even being able to get the words out of my mouth. So that was another unfortunate miss because things may have gone differently had I got that De Niro movie.
Man, I love LaQuita. Love how authentic she is. She shares with us one of her most embarrassing moments of her life, losing an opportunity of a lifetime. But that didn't define her. Now she spends her time coaching others to speak on the big stage. And she's built an amazing business doing just that. My hope and prayer for you today is that these stories of adversity and overcoming adversity have challenged and inspired you. No matter what you're going through today, there are brighter days ahead. Who knows? Maybe your tragedy becomes your superpower, like Scott Leese's. On that note, we're going to wrap this puppy up. Please go like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you consume your podcast, and go give a 5-star review and subscribe to the podcast right now. 5-star review. Do it. I appreciate you. Till next time.